الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس واتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد إن خير الحديث كتاب الله خير الهدي هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد يقول الله عز وجل يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهلكم نار. Allah Azza wa Jalla spoke in the Quran and He said to the believers in a command form that you are to save yourself and your family from Jahannam, from the fire of the hell. In another ayah, He also subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ, that warn your close relatives. Save yourself, your family members, and your close relatives. The process starts with myself, me, I, myself first, and then it extends to my family members. Then upon that, it extends further towards my other relatives. it is not a serial process. I'm not saying that. It could be parallel, it could be concurrent. Fact remains, a person has to save themselves first. Upon saving them, they extend the same process to their family members and next to them. In today's discussion, inshallah, will limit itself wa ahlikum, to save your family members. Due to the fact, today's society which we live in, many of the Muslims apparently do not understand what really is going on there. Honestly speaking to many educated people and otherwise, I realize that they live in an illusion that the reality of the society, the challenges there, it is not clear to the people. And in Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inna li waladika alayka haqq, or kama qala sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your children have a right over you. Another hadith of sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said, kullukum ra'in, kullukum mas'ulun an ra'yatihi, kama qala sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You are in charge of some things, among them one, your children, and you are responsible for them in this dunya. Therefore you will be accounted for in their judgment. So therefore, saving my children, it is not an optional thing, it's not mustahab, it is wajib, it is an obligation. If that is not the case, my children will bring case against me in day of judgment and anybody else who led them astray. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, نَجَعَلْهُمَا تَحْتَ قَدَامِنَا لِيَكُونَ مِنَ الْأَسْفَلِينَ. Allah bring them, those group of people, from the jinn and insan who misled us, so we can humiliate them along with our own selves. When they go to Jahannam, they will take somebody with them, and may Allah protect us from it. So the point here is, it is not a passive action and making dua that my children will suddenly come to the religion. The opposite is true. Because Ali Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in authentic hadith that ما من مولود إلا يولد على الفطرة كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. Every birth, every child born on the face of the earth, except they're born upon fitra, in natural state of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Walakin, their family, their parents, take them away from this original path of submission to something else. So therefore, parents are responsible as well as guilty of the crime for not supporting them, their children at the least, to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, many of us, as we always say, that, brother, I'm trying, sisters say, I'm trying. Brothers and sisters, in a very simple, logical manner, if I explain that to myself, if I'm a student going to college, and I'm taking exam, keep failing, and if I'm told, try hard, and you say, I'm trying, you are not trying enough. It is obvious by looking at the output of your score. You see F, failing in every semester, therefore your trying is not enough that brought the success to you. Therefore you're not trying enough. So by very premise I have just established, I can conclude safely that parents today in the Muslim Ummah, in this country and across the globe, are not trying enough, because that reflects on the children which are becoming adult today and tomorrow. And because of their lack of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are bringing us problem among ourselves and the Muslim Ummah. Allah spoke in Surah Ar-Rum, Surah number 30, ظَهَرَ الْفَسَادُ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِي النَّاسِ. The fasad and the calamities and the problems and suffering of the Muslims today across the globe, either on the land or on the sea. This is the output of the action, disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or lack of obedience to Allah azza wa jalla. And this is a minor, small level of penalty as a taste. So Muslim can see and reflect and come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fact remains, no matter what is happening in the Muslim Ummah today, most of us not even thinking in that angle. So I thought about it a lot and realized this is not a coincidence. This is a systematic degradation of this Muslim Ummah. This is not an overnight thing. This has been happening for years. This Ummah been disconnected from the root of La ilaha illallah, of this deen, one step at a time, and today they are far away from it. Many Muslims have this notion, which is flawed. They think putting them in Saturday school and Sunday school will do the job. It is absurd at the least to say. It makes no logical sense. Impossible. If 7 hours if I culture a child with philosophy 101, does God exist? God is a created thought or God created human? If I come to this logical, philosophical, deep discussion on a child of 7th grade, I can confuse the mind in one day. One day, not months and years. Honestly speaking, alhamdulillah, that's a philosophy. Well, so having said that, I can confuse a mind in one day, let alone 12 years of schooling. So, our children, most of them go to public school because of the cost and whatnot. Go to public school, and they said, some parents say, I'm making dua, please make dua for us. I feel very sad in this kind of discussion. If I tell you, my brother, I will make dua for you, Allah give you rizq, do not go to work tomorrow morning. Allah says, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. End of the day, إِنَّ اللَّهُ وَرَزَّاقُ. Allah is the one who gives rizq, period. So whether you're sitting at home, in a plane, or on the basement, you are going to get your food. This is our belief because Allah gives food. Walakin, there's some sabr. There is some material aspect of it. There is some effort behind it. So dua doesn't bring the food, doesn't pay the rent. But effort is put behind this. Likewise, just making dua, or hugging them saying fear Allah, or in Fridays and Saturdays, just taking them to the masjid, it is not going to work in most cases. Why not? Because the amount of the time in ratio-wise, they get probably 80+% in the schooling system, and maybe 20% at home. Having said that, let me further qualify my statement. That 20% in home, either father is busy working overtime, or mother may be working, if not busy shopping, watching television. Muslims should be wasting time anyway doing that. Now a father becomes an ATM machine, produces dollar. The child needs the money, a car, or a sneaker, goes to the father. Father is like a bank, press the button, money comes out. Mother is like a professional babysitter. You need food, I give you food. Did you finish your homework? Yes, I did. How did you get, how much you got in chemistry? 95, good job. This is mother. Either a teacher or a professional babysitter in home. The child has become orphan when both of the parents are physically, biologically living with them. And this is not discharging your right, responsibility to the children. Day of judgment, you are responsible for these children, and this is by no means enough to protect them from the hellfire. I had a student of my own, and I have met last week another medical doctor, just graduated from med school, and he told me, he prayed with me. I know his family, and his father said, pray from childhood. So the child got the ritual of prayer, and he honestly told me, I pray because my dad said, otherwise you'll be offended. Honestly, I find no meaning in the religion. This is just some words somebody told you, you're telling me kind of thing. SubhanAllah, the parents failed miserably. And I was not surprised by seeing this. I would have been surprised if the child said, Alhamdulillah, I love Allah. I fear Allah. I'm conscious about my Lord. If he said that, I'll be surprised. That's crazy. How did he get that? But he said, honestly speaking, I really don't have no feeling for this. It seems like some stories. I'm doing my dad. You'll be offended if I don't. As long as I'm with him, I'm going to continue doing it. I'm not surprised. Another student I spoke to, he said, a Muslim, so-called born Muslim, said that I'm not Muslim anymore, my parents are Muslim. I said, I'm not surprised, they are not. I should talk to your parents first before talking to you. Because the root dictates what kind of fruit comes out of a tree. The root decides that. Root comes to existence much before the fruit. The proper root, proper seed, what you plant on the ground, that decision is vital. That's why in this ummah, when a child is born, we give azan to the ear. Little child has no faculty, no intellect, no understanding. What are you saying? Either in Arabic or Chinese or Italian, doesn't matter. Whatever you say, the child do not understand. So why bother saying it? This is the ritual. But the message is, the moment the child comes to the dunya, from one stage to stage number 2, I let the child be clearly understood and known. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest, and nothing comes close. The child from childhood, the message is given even though he doesn't understand that. This is a ritual in practice. In the salah, we say Allahu Akbar. Before I come to this business of meeting my Lord, I need to make sure that nothing comes close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when I say Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest. My car, my job remains behind because I'm meeting my Lord. The concept any idea, whether science and otherwise, evolved from a concept. Then it comes to application. When kids are taught in colleges applications of any material sciences, they are given the formula first, understanding of it, then by extension they are given application of that. Our children are given the application on the concept. The message of La ilaha illallah is missing. It is totally gone. Now you're putting some rituals around it. To them, this is some boring exercise, physical movement. How long can somebody do that? So boring. Means nothing to me. And with the same message, Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum took their life in front. They understood it different. And Allah praised them. Allah praised those people from the Muhajir and Ansar. Why? But they cultured within them La ilaha illallah. They cultured the value of the Sunnah of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Today, we bring into the masjid for a family night. Eat, have fun. They have no idea what are they doing. Who are guilty, not giving them the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It is the parents. They fail to fulfill their responsibility in the children. Father is working 2 jobs. Nothing wrong with that. But brother, if I'm being honest and upfront with you, every person has limitations. They has 24 hours. And we are human, we weak. We weak. After working 8 hours, commuting 2 hours at the least, 10, 11 hours, you do not have much energy left. On the top of that, if you do overtime to make more money, to buy a better car or a bigger house, nothing wrong with that. But what is the cost of it? Anytime you say, what is the cost of it? People say, money is the cost to buy a new house or a new car. I said, that's not the case. You are sacrificing your children to buy the new house and the new car. Everybody obsessed with the material gain, but Allah said, Wallahu yad'ukum ila daris salam. Allah is calling upon you to a different life. I'm not saying to neglect this life. La tansa nasibaka min ad-dunya. Do not forget your share of the dunya. But we are taking 100% of the dunya and giving 0% to akhirah. That is the total mismatch. And the output speaks for itself. That we're failing miserably. You tell me, Muslim world today, from the east to the west, where we are not suffering problems. You tell me. At various levels, but we are suffering problems. And it's not a coincidence. Any intelligent mind should sit down and think, what could be the problem? Same Quran, same Sunnah, Sahabas become successful, radiallahu ta'ala anhum, and been certified by Allah and His Prophet. And we are same book, same Sunnah. Along with that, we have maybe 30 more tafsir. In addition to that, many explanations of the book of Hadith, which they did not have in their time, radiallahu ta'ala anhum. But they become the best of the people, become the worst. Same medication works on one, doesn't work on the other one. There must be some fundamental mistake we are doing. We need to reflect. Allah says, whatever you see, these things around us, it is a point of reflection. We need to sit down, calm down and think, what is the problem with us? Allah is saying, مَا لَكُمْ? What is your problem? لَا تَرْجُونَ لِلَّهِ وَقَارًا. Do not come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There must be a problem. And sitting down, laying back, being passive is not one of the options. You need active engagement. Sacrifice some of the dunya. You can get both. Period. You cannot get both. Let me give you a simple example. I have students, before the exam, they study some of them 16 hours a day. Sacrifice for a grade. Other students study 2 hours, go to the cafeteria, play around. No sacrifice, only fun. When the exam is over, the score reflects that. Somebody works 16 hours a day, studying hard, getting A+. Somebody 2 hours, either get an F or D, barely makes it. Their action, whatever they do, put into their work, the output reflects that. And we are falling far behind. It is important that we think differently today. This is not going to work the way we do. Another point I'd like to make, how we value success. Allah said in the Quran, رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. Allah taught us a dua that Allah make my spouse and my children joy of my eyes. So to us, joy means, in a literal sense, you got 100 in chemistry, in biology you got 99.5, SAT score is perfect score, your GRE is good, you're going to go to the best grad school, you went to med school. These are my joys. My son don't pray, no sadness. It is my joy. Hassan al-Basri al-Ta'abi, radiallahu anhu, who died Hijri 110 in Basra, he said, the tafsir of this ayah, Qurrat A'un means, joy implies that they are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look how they understand the ayah and how we understand the ayah. How we translate joy and satisfaction of ourselves and how they translate it. Because their difference in the fundamental, how they think in a fundamentally different than us, and their way of life happen to be different than us. To us, what makes us happy? A lot of money. فَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالِ. Allah said, you love the wealth. You love the wealth. But Rasulullah said, إِنَّ لِكُلِّ أُمَّةِ فِتْنَةٍ فِتْنَةِ أُمَّةِ مَالٍ كَمَا قال sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Every nation has a trial, and trial of this ummah is wealth. Knowing that, even though we need it, we are obsessed with it. Using it as per the need is nothing wrong with that. But being obsessed with that is a major problem. And there is a problem that we gave too much value to the dunya and the material of it, and the success of that, Allah and His Prophet become secondary to us. When Allah, being a Lord of the universe, Lord of the worlds, owner of the earth and heavens and what is in between that, Allah said, لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا وَمَا تَحْتَ الثَّرَى. To Him belongs the earth and the heavens. What is between them, what is beneath the earth, that belongs to Him. The Master of the Day of Judgment, He is not important to me. So what is important to me? Because of this very nature, we have fundamentally flawed way of thinking. Our children is nothing but an extension of our thought. So today the point is this. I point out many problems that we don't think right. We are responsible for our children. But there's many Muslims out loud saying they are not Muslim anymore. Young generations. Perhaps it is true that many of us, our high schooling was done in another country. Therefore, our understanding the process of academic environment in this system is not quite clear. That's why we probably think that they are doing nice and good. That is not the case. Unless you understand how the academic system works, what is the curriculum, what is the syllabus, what is the outline, what is in the book, and what they are being taught, there is no way you can understand what are they going through. I don't blame them. It is tremendous amount of pressure. Just the information, intellectual culturing of the child is so much pressure. In addition to that, you have the peer pressure. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-mar'u ala dini khalili, falyanzuru ahadukum man yukhalil, aw kama qala sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A person is upon the religion of his peers, his friends, his colleagues. So be careful whom you take as your friend. In the school, you cannot walk into the classroom, sit down, I'm not going to talk to anybody else. It doesn't work like this. Being a Muslim in itself, you're already mocked by people. In addition to that, you look different than them. You don't attend their activities. You'll be isolated. You can't survive like that. So therefore, putting an Islamic school is a must, at the least to say. At the least to say, and it is not enough. Why not? In Islamic school, as I know many of the principals, they said many children are really quite messed up in the public school by 7th, 8th and 9th grade, some into drugs and some of the wild stuff. And the parents lose control, now they pack them up, shove them into the Islamic school. As if this has just come like love Jesus and everything will just fix up. It doesn't work this way. It takes many years to build a mind, and it takes few minutes to break it. It's many years to build a structure, few minutes to take it out. But my humble opinion, that it is much easier, much easier to produce a graduate from Cornell Medical Center. Much easier to produce an applied physicist from Princeton than creating one Muslim who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with wholeheartedly and obedient to Allah and the Sunnah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is much more difficult because it is the mind has to be cultured. You can pass an exam by reading, practicing over and over again. But if just by practicing over and over again, your heart may not be connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This very disconnect takes the salah, make it meaningless. But the salah says, inna salata tanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Salah is supposed to have some practical implication, some output, some result to it, protect you for something which is bad. But our salah brings no result. Therefore, there's some mistake somewhere down the line. We need to track it backward and find out where is the problem. And there is one at the least. So Muslim today, we need to be conscious about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, if you think naming a child Muhammad is enough, Akhi, we living in a world far away from reality. The process in this deen starts from day one. Like the child, you start with the adhan. When a person get married, Prophet ﷺ said, since time is short, I'm going to condense and paraphrase the hadith without the text. Prophet ﷺ said, a woman is married for 4 reasons. Out of the 4, لِمَالِهَا لِأَحْسَبِهَا is her wealth, her lineage, her name and fame, so on and so forth, and her taqwa. And whoever marries for the sake of taqwa, her piety, her religious manners, that person is successful. The process of selection starts from day one. We start family with La ilaha illallah. The nikah in this deen is not a party. You start with Kutbah al-Hajjah. It is a religious thing, nikah. A child, akikah is a religious thing. This deen, this is a way of life. Covers every possible ground you can think about. To us, it is just Ramadan and Eid. And that is why we lost the fundamental connection with the religion. Now I have stated many problems. I give you 2 minutes to think. Then inshallah I propose some solutions. وقولي هذا واستغفر الله ولي ولكم. إن الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه. One of the things as Muslims we must do in the realm of intellect, we connect every child, beside putting them in Islamic school, beside cutting down my work hours. Who doesn't understand if I work less, I have less money, less thing to spend? I mean, this is basic thing, common sense. Who doesn't understand that? You don't have to have a PhD to understand that part. But I'm making conscious decision that losing some money here, living a little cheaper life, but the total outcome end of the day, the sacrifice I'm making today, the result, the benefit is the child himself or herself, the ummah, the community, and Day of Judgment I benefit from them. If you understand this detail, then you say, it's worth making this sacrifice. It's worth sticking with my child, forget everything else, and telling them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is worth the mother, not working both of them. Mother, stay home, shut down my friends, forget the shopping, minimize the shopping, come to my child. Let me tell you the story of Muadhin bin Jabal. Let me tell you the story from early childhood, Ali bin Abi Talib. Let me talk about Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas radiallahu ta'ala anhu. From the childhood, the child grew up with knowing about the companions. And the family of Prophet ﷺ knows about the sacrifice, conviction, commitment of the people of the past. And the child eager to connect with them. But if the television is on and basketball is running all the time, sometimes fine, all the time, then the child's role model becomes Michael Jordan. Something else. In his mind, what works is Michael Jordan all the time. And Sa'd ibn Waqqas, who is that guy? And he's a companion. What is companion? When was it? A Muslim talked like that. It's pathetic. You ask them, a young child, ask them about Allah and His Prophet, they're silent. Doesn't know anything about Allah and His Prophet. I did that. And Allah speaks about this kind of people in Surah Rum, Surah number 30. They are expert in the matters of the dunya, worldly matters. In Islam comes, they're jahil, they're ignorant, can't say a word. Ask them, name me 5 of the Ansar of the companions. Every Muslims are quiet, young and old likewise. Why? The basis foundation is missing from generation after generation. We need to connect them. Step number 1, beside putting them in Islamic school, talking to them all the time, day and night, Allah and His Prophet. Give them the good news of paradise, and the taste and the flavor of it. And give them the fear of Jahannam, and the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then bring to the masjid, bring them close to the people of the knowledge, in the culture of the masjid, or Islamic center, or a youth center, so they are protected, supported, cultured by environment like this. So when they grow up, become strong. Let me give you an example. If you do cement pouring, right? It takes about a few weeks to solidify. Until then, it cannot put any weight on it. It cannot bear any weight. Rather than it has to be supported by sticks, so it doesn't fall apart. But when it is solidified, set, and strong, not only it can bear its own weight, it can support others. When this child been cultured well, give 15, 16, 18 years, finish the college, by the time parallel education of deen continues from day 1 until the child become a professor, a medical doctor, regardless. Islamic studies continues. culturing in the community continues. When the child finish all this, the child is solidified. Alhamdulillah. Now this child go like Muad ibn Jabal. And Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas walks in the street, he reflects the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But today our child reflects exact opposite of that. What do you expect out of this? So what I'm going to do, besides the physical aspect, the intellectual aspect, which is, as Allah speaks in Quran, Surah Al Imran, Surah number 3, verse number 190, Allah says, and when I read about this ayah, I said, what is the connection? Allah says, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Unless you are a scientist, the rotation of the earth, day and night, all the creation of the cosmos, what's so special to reflect? SubhanAllah. A person who can reflect, what would be their conclusion? رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. So, Allah did not create the for no reason. So what's the point? رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. This reflection of the universe makes the person humble, reflects, فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ. Allah is the greatest. Look at Him, and you humble yourself, then you say, Allah, save me from the hellfire. You study physics and biology, if you can make proper connection, you end up seeing the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You humble yourself, then you said, Allah, save me from the fire. And Allah said, قُوْ أَنفُسَكُمْ أَهْلِكُمْ نَارًا. You can get to this point many different ways. So we need to reflect to a child. See, driving through highways in a vacation, huge mountain. My son, my daughter, can you tell me what is the mass of it? You say, huge. Who created that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yawm al-Qiyamah, that time this mountain will be floating, will be useless. That's how Allah does whatever it pleases. His greatness has to be understood. When you see something great, you humble yourself. So this child has to be cultured to that. Bringing them to the masjid. Give them continuous education. Some child said, what my parents going to teach, tells me what my parents going to teach. They don't know themselves. They are into bid'ah and shirk. My parents. Some child tell me, my parents, they are going to teach me. They are into shirk and bid'ah and culture. They are lost themselves. They can't teach me. They will confuse me. So therefore, as Allah said, "Qu anfusakum," I need to save myself. I need to educate myself. I need to come to the masjid, study, go in the halakas, and go to the durus, and learn, understand it, culture within myself and my family. Again, if I fail to do so, Yawm al-Qiyamah, believe it, my brother and sister, violation of this obligation in front of Allah will be a serious crime, their judgment. And every Muslim today, is your son, your daughter, but they're Muslim. He's your son, I know, but there's a Muslim man, a Muslim woman there. Prophet ﷺ worked so hard. His companions gave their lives so the message comes to this doorstep. It came, and you are neglecting the rights of your children by not giving the message to them in a proper manner. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the right path. Because without Him, there's no way out. Having said that, we have to give our effort. Brother, what I said, and may Allah forgive my deficiencies, whatever I said good belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. Whatever deficiencies and weakness I had, this is the weakness of myself from the shaitan. And every word I say, may Allah forgive me, I meant 100% of it. This is not a podium, this is not a lecture. This is not a university or a conference. I'm going to word. Kalam has no meaning to it. Every word was meant from the bottom of the heart. So please, let us try to take it serious. فَقَوْلِ هَذَا اسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ وَلِي وَلَكُمْ اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا إسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين اللهم احسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة اللهم رب ارحمه ما كما ربياني صغيرا ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما أقيم الصلاة
Right, as much as possible. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha